Hello, ladies and gentlemen, it's me, 15 Minutes Game. Today we're back with a trailer react, which is something I don't usually do. And the reason I don't usually do it is because it's like a 3-minute trailer. What else? What can you really get from anything? But the Marvels trailer dropped today, and I'm going to take you guys back to 2018, 2019. The first Captain Marvel trailers were released, and the internet was a flurry. There was like a million people who hated anything to do with Captain Marvel because it was woke. That's the favorite word to use, woke. I don't know what it means. I don't think they know what it means. Um, but I found that their hate watching was very entertaining to me. So I love hate watching the hate watch. I don't really hate it, but I think it's fun to just see people twist and turn to get anything to make a movie look bad. And to be fair, like you don't gotta like Captain Marvel, but you at least gotta be honest about why you dislike it instead of like making things up, which is something that happened a lot with the last Captain Marvel movie. From like Disney was buying seats to theaters to pad the box office, from like it's like the most woke movie you've ever seen, and it wasn't. To all kinds of crazy stuff. Some people get really upset and into it, and I'm here for that. I love that. I'm gonna stick around for that, and that's what we're gonna do today. So I'm gonna watch the regular trailer, and then I'm going to watch some reactions to that trailer that may or may not be a little upset, which is fine. But I do want to, in all seriousness, I do kind of want to pick apart. I do want to take a genuine look at like people's complaints about the movie, about the Marvels, and do want to kind of dissect those. And if I agree with some points, I'll say I agree with some points. If there are some points where I'm like, I think you're reaching, then I'm gonna say I think you're reaching, and I don't think it's gonna be what you think it's gonna be. But yeah, that's about the point of today's video. So let's get into it. Let's watch the base trailer for the Marvels. I'm probably gonna pause every now and then, but that's fine. We're in space, baby. Saber. We traded our shield for a sword, then for a saber.
Point perimeter. I'm gonna get you some readings, Fury. Hello? Hello?
Monica again touching a hexagonal like fake thing. Like, didn't you learn the last time? Come on. From terror to fangirl right away. It's a good capture of the character. I dig it.
Captain Rambo.
Where's Captain Rambo? Where'd she go? I don't know. So a quick aside, because anytime I see a room like this, I'm thinking of one of my dear friends who is very much into this kind of stuff. Not quite on a level that she is, but he recently went to a Comic-Con. A local Comic-Con, and Chris Evans was there, and he paid $300 for a picture with Chris Evans. Now you might think, okay, but they could talk to each other, right? You might think that's an absurd price, but they can chat for a little bit. No, they push you into a room, you get 10 seconds, you take your picture, you leave. They escort you out. You paid $300 for 10 seconds with Chris Evans. Maybe that's worth it to some people, but $300 is a lot of scratch for something like that. But Kamala, she'd probably be down for to make those kind of payments. All right, let's keep going.
What the?
Ooh, ooh, I caught it. I caught it. I'm watching this trailer trying to think like, okay, what could somebody get mad about? And the song in the background, it says, "Don't tell me to smile." And I'm wondering how many times I'm going to hear that today, because I feel like I may hear it at least once. I'm hoping at least one time somebody mentions, well, the background music in the trailer, they said, "Don't tell me to smile," and how dare you, okay? How dare you?
We're looking for Kamala Khan.
One of my favorite things about the Miss Marvel show was the family, so I'm glad she's in it.
Can manipulate light energy, and I could totally show you.
I like that she's kind of like so excited to show off her abilities to actual heroes that
Wherever you were.
she plays an idiot. That's pretty decent too. Is that the it's a very Ronin-esque kind of hammer.
We're a team.
Oh, no.
And that was cool too. The swamps. We're not a team, we're the Marvels. Alright, I think that's it. November. Okay. So this wasn't the first time I watched the trailer, but my initial reaction to the trailer, it's decent. It's good. I would say it's good. It doesn't give away too much of the movie, which is a thing I hate trailers for, and a lot of trailers do it. They seem to be kind of weaning off of that now. But this trailer, it's a teaser trailer. It teases. Like, it does exactly what it needs to do. So I like it. I'm excited to see what it's about. I think it's interesting to have this concept where anytime anybody uses their powers, they swap places with another Marvel. I think that's interesting. I think that can lead to some nice fight scenes, some scenes that are like a little different from what we've seen. You know, not your basic. It's a gimmick, but I think it's a gimmick that could kind of work well and make things a little more interesting. So I'm down for it. I think like a scene stealer, like just in the trailer, I think Kamala, either she got more attention than like Captain Marvel or Monica Rambeau's character in this trailer. Either she got more attention or she was just such like a scene stealer in what she was in that that she seemed to dominate the trailer. I had Miss Marvel, like, the show was fine. The plot was very weak, I think, but like I didn't have a problem with the actress playing Kamala Khan or any of the actors and actresses in that TV show. So I'm hoping she can shine a little better with a better plot. Make something memorable. We almost have all the pieces. We just need a good plot. I'm always for a good plot. I don't care how much spectacle you throw at me. As long as the plot is good and keeps me gripped, then you got a good movie. Movies are storytelling, and this looks to be like, at least for now, it's decent. It could be bad. It could be the worst thing in the world. Don't get me wrong. I could watch it and think, oh God, we got another Thor: Love and Thunder, but it looks good for now. So hopefully it keeps trending upwards, or it's good. Yeah. Anything else I wanted to talk about in that trailer? I don't think so. I'm in love again. I'm in love with the concept of the swapping. So. One thing I wanted to look at that I looked at earlier, so right now it's got 6.9 million views in 10 hours, which I think is pretty decent. I think it's recently the Blue Beetle trailer released last week for DC, and I think right now it's standing at 17 million views. Obviously, Marvel is more popular right now, and I hope that's not picking up in the background. My bad if it is. Oh, it's not. Somebody's playing their music real loud, man, on the streets. What can I do? But aside from that, the Blue Beetle trailer, I think, had 17 million views as of now, and that's been out for at least a week or two. This right now is 6.9, and that's pretty good. I think that's a good trending right now. It's got 306,000 likes. I wanted to see the dislikes, so I went over here, and it's looking like it's at 201,000 dislikes. And what I would say to that is, I don't know. Obviously, that's high. That's a lot of dislikes. The like to dislike ratio, not great, not good. But I don't think it's a good metric to measure like how your average audience like this trailer. Because I think, for example, me, like, I like the trailer, but I would never like a Marvel trailer. I've never physically pressed the like button on any Marvel trailer before, because I think that's I don't know, that's kind of a little much for me. I think that's it's just not something I do. Like, if I like something, I watch it over and over again. I never hit the like button. That seems redundant. I think the same can be said about the dislikes. And I think I feel like that's kind of the way it is for most people. I think anybody who leaves a like on a video, they're like, oh my God, I really, 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 really love this, or they're like old and they like everything, or they're like a super fan and they like everything. You know what I mean? And I think the same can be said about the dislikes. Sure, are there some people who just probably didn't really like the trailer and hit the dislike? Yeah. But I also think there's like a big push to, and you saw the same thing with the first Captain Marvel. There's a big push by certain people on the internet to kind of like review bomb trailers, or dislike bomb, whatever you want to call it. And I think that you're going to see that with this. Now, 201,000 people not liking something, that's probably not going to affect the movie too much. Like 200,000 tickets, not going to have a big impact on the bottom line. I think your general audiences are A, not looking at this anyways, and B, are like, oh yeah, it looks decent, or I'll wait and see. I don't think anybody's. There was nothing in this trailer that made me go like, oh my God, I need to dislike this. It was a by the numbers trailer at worst, I think. So I wouldn't look too heavily into this, but I do want to get into the mindset of people who are disliking it. I haven't watched these videos yet, so maybe they're going to surprise me, but I do want to watch these videos of people who may not like this trailer, may not like Captain Marvel, which is fine. And I kind of want to dissect their reasonings for it. I kind of want to get more of an understanding for it. So we're going to start with another disaster for the MCU. Brie Larson's The Marvels trailer finally released after huge delays. So let's get into it.
The Marvel Cinematic Universe has had a rough patch the past few years, with the disappointing box office results, terrible streaming numbers,
Oh, this
losing billions
is
of
an
dollars
ad
on
in the
Disney
video.
Plus each and every quarter. And of course, we saw the start of Phase 5 losing money on Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. And Captain Marvel 2, which then got turned into The Marvels, is another project.
This guy's high energy. I like that. I gotta get out of the way. I like his energy. He's got good energy. He's got the American flag in the background. He's got some is that Top Gun? I like his energy though. I can dig the energy.
Reshoots galore, delayed time and time again. But now,
all right. So I do want to talk about. He hasn't gone too much into it, but I do want to talk about like delays for the movie. So I haven't heard a lot about delays. So I'm not saying that's not true. Like obviously he's got an article saying like it got delayed by new reports. So I'm sure I know the movie's gotten delayed. I haven't heard too much about reshoots, but I'm gonna take his word for it and say that's true. But reshoots happen. I think a lot of movies go through reshoots. It's not necessarily a great sign, but it's not a bad sign necessarily either. If they're gonna reshoot to like fix some things, or there's been some change in the story, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. It's, as always, you're gonna have to wait and see. Like for example, I was gonna say Zack Snyder's Justice League, but they claim it was all original footage. But they did add some scenes to it, like the Joker scenes. Those are reshoots, but a lot of people would say like, okay, this improved the film. You know what I mean? So it's not, not necessarily the case that it's a bad sign if there's reshoots, I think.
now finally, Marvel's ready to show everybody what they have with the Captain Marvel sequel turned into a team-up with the rest of...
Okay. So he's iterating a point that the Captain Marvel 2 movie is turned into a team up. To me, that's implying that he's saying that like, oh, Captain Marvel, Brie Larson could not carry a second movie, so we had to bring in other characters for this film to like give it a shot. That's the kind of energy I'm getting from it. He might explain on it later. But I don't think that's the case. First of all, the first Captain Marvel made, I think, $1.1 billion in the box office. And it had Brie Larson, sure, it had Samuel L. Jackson. This one also has Samuel L. Jackson. But the Brie Larson, vehicle made $1.1 billion, which is a lot of money. And I know a lot of people will say, like, oh, well, it was coming off the back of Endgame. Ant-Man and the Wasp came off the back of Endgame, and I don't think it made... Ant-Man and the Wasp didn't make $1.1 billion. So something about Captain Marvel clearly resonated with people. So I do think a sequel with just Brie Larson would have held up. I don't think it would have had issues because it was just Brie Larson. And I feel like Marvel usually keeps their projects close to the vest. I don't think they're usually trying to go out and 5 years in advance, or 4 years in this case, 4 years in advance, say, oh, the next one's gonna have Monica Rambeau and Miss Marvel, two characters that didn't even exist at the time. So I don't think this solo. I don't think it was ever planned to be a solo project. They just didn't outright say, Monica Rambeau and Miss Marvel were going to be in the sequel. So I think that's disingenuous take, a disingenuous take on just the premise of the movie, just right off the bat.
Of the Marvel Squad, the trailer has just been released. They tried to hype it up yesterday to get everybody excited, and here it is. So we're gonna watch this thing and see what Brie Larson has in store for her.
Oh, are they gonna watch the trailer? Oh shoot!
Marvel.
Why didn't I
Here
figure
we go.
they're just gonna watch the trailer? Are we gonna watch the trailer a couple of times?
What the hell are you doing?
Am I gonna scrub through this? I kind of want to just see the reactions at the end. I don't need to see the live. All right, what do we got?
I wasn't sure what to expect. They're definitely going for like this super fun vibe with
I
this
agree with that.
The girl who plays Kamala Khan, Iman Vellani, I don't exactly remember her name. She seems really sweet and bubbly and nice. She kind of pops off the screen. Nobody watched Miss Marvel on Disney Plus. Nobody watched that show. That was a show that was made for a very small amount of people, and a very small amount of people actually watched it. But this is what
I don't know the numbers for Miss Marvel. Let's see. I do want to kind of like let's see. Miss Marvel viewership. I don't even know what a good comparison would be. But I do want to kind of counter. Marvel earned lower ratings for Miss Marvel means bigger. Okay, so it did seem like it had low ratings. There are Marvelous Dooms. Marvel is a 99% standalone. Paraphrase Divergent. I'm not really seeing the numbers, but I'm gonna take Forbes' words for it. Man, I wish I had a little graphic. Hit me with a graphic, dog. I didn't even know Marvel released their numbers, but let's see. The first episode earned just 4.2 million compared to The Falcon and Winter Soldier, and okay, so it was pretty low compared to the other shows, which again is not necessarily representative of the quality of the show. It just may not be. Ms. Marvel seemed more of a kids show than the other ones, which may mean higher numbers. I don't know. Miss Marvel, out of these characters, well, I guess Moon Knight is still an unknown too. But at least Moon Knight had Oscar Isaac, which may have helped boost viewerships. But I think she's a good actress. I don't know if viewership of the show is necessarily intrinsic to the quality of the show. But yeah, it did have low viewership by what I'm looking at. So I agree with what this dude is saying. Yeah, let's keep going. Oh, this is not the video.
Marvel decided to do. They knew they couldn't do a standalone Captain Marvel sequel because people just despise that character. So
okay. Again, we've been over this, but I don't think people despise the character. The movie made $1.1 billion. And just so we're all on the same page, Captain Marvel box office, $1.13 billion. I think maybe in your own circles, I didn't even have it zoomed in. I think maybe in your own circles, 1.1 billion. Did I say 1.3? $1.1 billion. I think maybe in your own circles, you might see that people didn't like Captain Marvel, which is fine. But that does not mean general audiences did not like Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel. Otherwise, would not have made 1.1 billion. And if you're saying it's coming off the back of Endgame, Ant-Man and the Wasp came off the back of Endgame. I feel like they're gonna give me Quantumania, and it made like about half the money that Captain Marvel did. So, apples to apples, it's looking like Captain Marvel maybe resonated with people a little bit more than you might think it did. So yeah, no, I disagree with the idea that Captain Marvel is so despised. Like, you don't have to like the character. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm sure people don't like the character. I just don't think it's as many as certain people might have you believe. All right, let's keep going.
Decided to surround her with
lesser
hopefully
known
more
characters.
likable people. I don't know
But
how people
lesser
feel about
known
the trailer's
characters.
only been out for 20 minutes at this point. Already a decent
Like, if
amount-
they had maybe teamed her up with like Spider-Man or like a huge character like Spider-Man or whatever, brought Iron Man back or something like that, then yeah, I'd agree with them more. I could see his point more. But like, to bring in lesser known characters, I don't think was the reason for this. For having Monica and Miss Marvel in it. It just doesn't make sense. It does make sense that they might want to, I had always planned on just having them in there just as the next step. That makes sense to me because they're all Marvel oriented,
On a thumbs down. I imagine we're going to see more coming very, very soon as people realize this trailer started. The people who weren't just sitting there waiting and counting it down. But overall, I just don't see this movie doing massive things at the box office. I don't see people coming out to see.
I think, again, people said that about the first Captain Marvel, and the first Captain Marvel made $1.1 billion. So just FYI, don't forget the first one made $1.1 billion, all right? General audience is what you need to think about. You can't always just be thinking about the super fans. You can't always be thinking about the people who like despise things. Like, you got to sub them out because they're not who these movies are generally made for. They're trying to reach a mass audience, for better or worse. So, we'll see.
Brie Larson as Captain Marvel in this fake sequel now turned into the Marvels.
Yeah, so he is hammering in on
this
this
with
part.
this thing, test
on this
screenings
point.
that are absolutely tragic, having to do multiple rounds of reshoots, just more problems for the MCU. But what do you guys think of the Marvels? Did that trailer change?
Okay, so I think so. That's about probably the end of it. I don't know. I don't see why this is a problem for the MCU. Necessarily. Like, the movie could be bad. Don't get me wrong. The movie could absolutely be the worst thing I've ever seen. It could be the worst thing you've ever seen. But I don't necessarily think we have enough information to say it's bad. We don't have enough information to say it's good, but we don't have enough information to say it's bad either. All right. So I agree with this guy on the points that it is bubbly. It is bubbly, chaotic. That is what they're going for. I agree with his assessment of the theme. I don't agree with his assessment that other characters were brought in because Brie Larson was not enough to carry this movie, even though she carried her own movie, which made $1.1 billion. I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's true. All right, let's move on to my favorite channel for Captain Marvel, Hatewatch. It's Geeks and Gamers. Super cringe Marvel trailer confirms Marvel is in big trouble. I was watching them a lot in like 2019. Anytime they released the Captain Marvel video, I was like, man, this is their bread and butter. But let's take a genuine look at what they're saying here. They may make some good points.
You can't deny that there's been massive issues with the Marvel Cinematic Universe
Man,
over the
is
past
everybody
several years.
using
The
this
failures
website?
of Phase 4, the start of Phase 5 was a disaster.
Oh, this guy's in this
and
too.
Captain Marvel 2 got turned into the Marvels, been delayed multiple times, but finally,
I didn't know they were in the
finally,
same like
Jeremy,
network.
We got
That's
the
cool.
trailer. It came out
Teamwork,
not that
baby.
long ago. As we're sitting here, listen, there's a lot of dislikes already. Not gonna lie, there's a lot of dislikes already, but it hasn't been ratioed yet. Time will tell. But we need to
Again, when you say things like it hasn't been ratioed yet, might spur some people to try and ratio it. Not necessarily because they think it's bad, but because wouldn't it be funny if it got ratioed? You know what I mean? So it's not an accurate representation of the quality of the trailer or the quality of the film. Is what I'm saying.
back to this. The first teaser trailer we get for the Marvels. Are you ready, Jeremy?
I have never been more excited in my life for a trailer. This is going to change humanity as we speak.
Here we
All right, a little sarcasm. I can dig sarcasm. Oh, here they go.
Is this an Avengers test?
Where's Captain Rambo?
The CG looked really bad.
Did she? Did she actually look bad? I don't know if she's actually in the suit. I don't think she looks bad. I'm not big on like the CG, like unless CGI is like noticeably bad. Like Henry Cavill's mustache went over my head. Like I was like, yeah, I mean like it's fine. Like I could tell there might be like a little bit of a something. Now that somebody mentioned it, yeah, maybe something. But like it wasn't like the end of the world to me. I don't think the CGI is terrible.
Okay, so this trailer, so
Nah, that's cool.
okay, the CG in the opening scene looked terrible. It
I
really
don't
looked bad.
I don't
seems
think
like
it
this
looks
was more-
bad. I thought the space looked pretty good. I thought Ms. Marvel was like believable. Like again, I don't think general again you got to think general audience when you think this stuff, when you talk about this stuff, because I don't think general audience cares that much about like if this unless the CGI is bad. I think the general audience are not going to notice, but they're just going to give it a pass. So, I mean, is the CGI bad? I'm not a good read on bad CGI because that CGI looked fine to me. I don't think any of the CGI looked bad. Like, I think a lot of the CGI in Ant-Man Quantumania was bad. But I think that was on like another level of not great in a movie that was very reliant on CGI. At least in this, I was like, I don't necessarily know what CGI. Not obviously space is CGI, but I was like, oh, that seems legit to me. Well, that space looked good. I thought the Saber facility looked good. So I don't necessarily I don't agree with that, but nothing you can.
comedy on steroids. This is really bad. Like it was full of just this cringe comedy from Marvel. I will say, as a positive of the trailer, it does seem like they at least have more personality than I expected. You know, all three of the actresses, they do seem to have a little more personality and a little more almost relatability. They're not the typical bitch face female.
Um, I, hmm, I don't even necessarily know. I don't. Other than Kamala, I don't think we got a lot out of Carol and Monica in this trailer. So I'm kind of hard to necessarily say that. But Monica is obviously, or not Monica. Kamala is obviously like very high energy, and she's like she's a teenager, so she's supposed to be that way. And she's like very fangirl and stuff like that. So her energy might be kind of like going to other people. But I don't I don't think Monica was ever low energy, and I don't think Captain Marvel is that different than the Captain Marvel in the first Captain Marvel in terms of her like general demeanor, which I don't have a problem with anyways. Like there are literally straight face characters all the times in movies. Like I feel like some of these people if Captain Marvel was always, if Brie Larson's character was always cracking jokes, I would say like, they always got to be funny, they always got to crack jokes. So I feel like there's not a genuine balance there. Because if she was telling jokes, they'd probably be like, oh, it's cringe, or like, oh, another funny character. Don't we have enough funny characters? Which I agree. I think there's too many funny characters. But here we are. Here we have like a character that is semi-serious. And she's not serious all the time, but she's she's very her character is very much like in love with her work, and tied to her work, which is why she seems so serious. Obviously, she was also in like the military or whatever, so there's a certain level of temperament you have to have there, which I think is fair. I mean, again, you don't have to like it. Don't get me wrong, but like I do think this is like I don't know what they would want her to be. Because again, if she was funny and she was cracking jokes, we'd have an issue. But since she's deadpan, like we also have an issue, and she's a bitch.
Characters that we've seen, this stuck up attitude, this talking down or seeming like they're better. That's one element of the trailer I can at least say had at least a different vibe than most. But in terms of just the overall structure of this movie,
And I do want to hit like the stuck up and talking down. I don't even know if Captain Marvel really does that a lot. I mean, she'll talk down to like her enemies, but like she has a respect for like, and I always feel like there's an undertone of like talking down to people, talking down to like men or something like that. I always feel like there's this undertone, and maybe I'm reading too much into it, but if we want to stick on just the talking down thing, like she might talk down to people she doesn't respect. She respects Nick Fury. I don't think she ever really talked down to Nick Fury other than like in a playful way in the first movie. Like obviously she's got respect for Monica Rambeau, her mom. Like she didn't talk down to them. Like she talked down to enemies. people she didn't respect, and yeah, I don't think, I don't know, I just don't get the vibe that that's a part of her character. I think a lot of people are projecting things they want to see on the character uh onto like Captain Marvel, but I don't necessarily think that's the case. I mean, obviously, but even I don't even necessarily have a problem with a character that talks down to other characters. Like there could be characters like Thor, for example. Thor will often, either out of ignorance or a fish out of water scenario, he'll talk down to people. He'll have a feeling of superiority, but like I don't see the same complaints levied against Thor that I see against Captain Marvel. There are different character types. Like, there's a lot of people out there in the world. A lot of people don't act the same. They're not going to act how you want them to act. That doesn't necessarily make them bad characters. There might be a character you don't like, but not necessarily a bad character.
I don't know how this movie doesn't lose money. I really don't.
I think it's
The last movie didn't lose money. Like, I think that's what we're forgetting. How many movies in the last phase, which I don't think was the strongest phase by any means, how many movies in the last phase lost money? Ant-Man is phase 5. I think Ant-Man lost money. But like it deserved to lose money. It wasn't a good movie. That's after me seeing the movie that I'm saying like it didn't deserve to make money, and it didn't. But I mean, outside of the COVID related movies, I think like your big ones, your Spider-Man, your Doctor Strange, I think they all made money. 379.8 million, not a lot. It was affected by COVID, but I don't necessarily think Black Widow was the best film. I can see that. Eternals, for reasons I already talked about, it's a very acquired taste. It's a swing that I'm glad Marvel kind of took. They wanted something more serious, which I appreciate, but unfortunately the story was just so bland. And it's not necessarily even because it was so serious. It was just so bland. That I'm not surprised it probably didn't break even. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. This is a movie affected by COVID. I don't know what the box office was for this, and on the latter side, 432 million, but it also carried a budget that was about 50 million lower. This might have made money. I'm not sure. I'm just going off by the gross. This probably made money. Not a good movie. Doctor Strange absolutely made money. Almost $1 billion. Made money 100%. Wait, 1.9 million. I think that should be billion. I'm going to say this should be billion. I got you, Screen Rant. Definitely made money. So I think a lot of the films, let's see. There weren't a lot of Phase 4 films. There were a lot of TV shows, not a lot of films. 1, 2, 3. I'll say Shang-Chi probably. 4 out of the 6 at least broke even. Did it have as high numbers as Phase 3 or Phase 2? Probably not. But they break even. So I wouldn't be surprised if this one broke even. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Yeah, I'm not surprised it didn't break even because it wasn't a good film. It wasn't good by any means. So word of mouth was probably not good. It had a decent opening weekend. I think it had the highest opening weekend of any Ant-Man movie at like 106 million. Let me double check that because I don't want to lead you guys astray. Quantumania. Domestic. Oh yeah, this is not good. Okay. 474 million. I said Quantumania and they brought me up Ant-Man and the Wasp. Okay. So this did not make money. Had a strong domestic opening. I think it had the strongest opening of any of the Ant-Man films. Definitely the first Ant-Man, maybe even the second one. Highest opening of any of them. But because word of mouth was not good, it fell off and made less than the last one. So I don't think this is representative of something like Captain Marvel, which made 1.1 billion the first time around. So I don't think it's the same.
They are going for a totally different vibe from the first Captain Marvel movie.
100%.
They're trying to make this, hey, super fun team up, buddy, all these different
What
personalities
it is.
together, like comedy. That's what they're trying to do.
I don't even necessarily know comedy. I mean, like, they're going to be funny parts because literally every single Captain Marvel movie, or not Captain Marvel. Every Marvel movie has had comedy in it, so I don't know why they're trying to make it out like it's going to be this big comedy. When not even every part of the, I don't even think every part of the trailer was comedic. Um, I think other than Kamala, but Kamala's like a fun. She's definitely a fun character, if not a funny character. So would you rather? I mean, just by virtue of her being in it, the movie is going to be lean more on the fun slash funny side. So I don't. I don't know what you're going for there. It's like you brought in a fun, funny character, and I think the plan was to always bring in Miss Marvel, in this sequel. This sequel after 4 years from the last one. I think the plan was always to bring her in. Then it's gonna like there's gonna be a tonal shift since there are more or less three leads. Like I don't get the argument there because yeah, it's gonna be funnier because we've included a funnier character. Would you have preferred they made Miss Marvel more like Captain Marvel? I feel like you wouldn't like that. So I guess what's the complaint here?
It is a massive, like, try to course correct. Listen, nobody watched Miss Marvel. Nobody watched this show on Disney Plus. It was made for a very, very niche audience, just like the actual Miss Marvel is in the comics, why it's failed so many times. I do have to say, though, Iman Vellani, the actress, she is super, like, nice and bubbly, and, like, she kind of pops off the screen. I don't know if I want to watch an entire fucking movie worth of it, but it is like they're trying to shoot for this different balance between these characters. And I don't think anybody's gonna go and watch this. I don't think it's gonna do anything in the box office. I do think it'll probably lose money, but there is a definite attempt to
There's a tone
make
shift
these
for sure.
characters different, make the tone completely different for this.
There's a tone
Yeah, again, yeah. I mean, I don't know what they. It's odd to me. Like I don't know if the tone shift is. Maybe they're not complaining that there's a tone shift, but it sounds like they're like, oh, the last one was so bad they had to change the tone. The last one made $1.1 billion, so like, I have a hard time believing like the last one was so bad that they were like, yeah, we need to change everything.
Well, I say they did this. She kind of did this at first. She kind of set the standard for how unlikable she is, and Marvel just kind of bought into it and leaned into it. But it's not just her; they've made all their female characters unlikable. All of them have been kind of these stuck-up, attitude-driven.
Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. It always seems to boil down to some kind of feminist slant. That like, oh, all the female characters are unlikable. That's not even the case. People like Kate Bishop. People like the new Black Widow. Like they're very likable. So who are these like female characters that they're talking about? Is it Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow? First of all, it's not like there's been that many female, even like leads straight up, but I don't think anybody's hated. I don't think the general consensus has been for any of these like female characters that we hate them. That they're so unlikable. I don't think that's been the consensus. Here's the issue. There's not that many female lead characters in the MCU. Captain Marvel was the first one after like at least 10 movies, more than that. 10 plus movies, 15 plus movies that they had a female lead. So to say that like all of these characters have been unlikable after you had one that made $1.1 billion, that's more than the majority of the Thor movies, more than a majority of the Captain America movies, more than your other like generally male led movies. So I don't understand that complaint. That I just can't even genuinely think of a Marvel hero that is stuck up. Maybe the Wasp? Maybe? I mean, she talks down to Scott, but like there were reasons for that. It wasn't necessarily superiority, other than like she was technically like in the first Ant-Man better than Scott was at that kind of stuff because she had been training longer. So there was like this anger there. I guess She-Hulk, but even She-Hulk, I don't think She-Hulk is stuck up. She's very self-deprecating. I think I've gone through Jessica Jones. Jessica Jones is like, I don't know. I mean, she's different ways with different characters. I don't know who you're talking. I wish they would talk more about these stuck up like female characters and explain why they're stuck up. Because like I could say Iron Man is stuck up, I could say Bruce Banner is stuck up. Like you got these genius level characters that talk down to people all the time. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't think the argument goes the way they want. I feel like anytime I watch, and this is mostly a geeks and gamers thing, but anytime I watch a geeks and gamers thing, it's always like it has an anti. It always seems to have these anti like woman undertones that kind of affect how I see these videos. And maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I don't think I am. It's always like go woke, go broke, or this kind of stuff where like nobody can explain what go woke means. And apparently they went woke on the first Captain Marvel and they made $1.1 billion. So not quite going broke. It's confusing.